Boerne Radio 103.9 FM. Coming up at 11:30 is The Power of Perseverance with Glenn Boehm. But right now is Ceasefire with Dale Adams and Ron Cisneros. The following is sponsored by the Boerne Bookshop, and this is Boerne Radio.
Welcome to Ceasefire, where civics meets civility and engagement meets empowerment. Ceasefire is hosted by former Boerne ISD trustee and owner of the Boerne Bookshop, Dale Adams, and by former Boerne City Council member and local insurance agent, Ron Cisneros.
Welcome back to Ceasefire with Dale Adams.
And Ron Cisneros.
And we've got Rick Reyes back with us again today.
Yeah, Rick has the honor of being our first ever repeat guest. So he's like that guy that used to be on the Johnny Carson show that would come in with the animals from the guy from the San Diego Zoo. Our younger listeners like Rick won't know who I'm talking about, but you know who I'm talking about, Dale.
The regular, yeah. He'd bring in the dancing monkeys and stuff like that.
That's right. And today Rick is our dancing monkey.
Okay, thankfully it's the radio.
Not quite the way we need to welcome our guests. But Rick is here to talk about galas, and specifically the Centurion Gala. Is that the one you're talking about? Yes.
Yeah, we do have a gala coming up in February 2025. We're already starting to put things in the works in order to kick that off.
Yeah, I bet a lot of planning goes into that.
A lot of planning goes into the galas, for sure. So there's logistics upon logistics, which you would expect with any event of that size, and I'll even say age. It's one of Boerne's oldest fundraising events.
Oh, wow, that's neat. Well,
this is year 39 that we've done the gala.
Oh, that's a lot, yeah.
So, Rick, who are the Centurions?
So, great question. The Centurions is a group of gentlemen. We will never have more than 50 folks that are in the community that have one mission in mind, and that's to support Kendall County. And so we are the Centurions of Kendall County. We were formed back in 1985, so we're coming up on our 40th year next year.
Wow.
And we were formed by John Jones and Ken Nietenhofer. And Ken is still a very active member of our organization today.
Okay, great.
I'm sure many of our listeners today know who Ken is.
Yeah.
So our mission is to just go out, do good works in the community, and give back by way of fundraisers. And since 1985, we've given more than $800,000 to local charities and to students within the Kendall County area for college scholarships.
That's great. That's great. And so how does one go about becoming a Centurion?
How does one go about becoming a Centurion? So we look for folks in the community that are involved, that are making we'll call it a silent difference, that are wanting to do good deeds, but not necessarily the ones that are seeking the limelight for those good deeds. And so you're usually recommended by another one of the members, and then we discuss that person, and should they fit the mold for the organization, we invite them to join, and if they choose to join, then they're in.
Okay, that's great. And you keep it exclusive, you said, down to 50 people?
Under 50.
Under 50.
So it's actually, I think we're at 47 right now.
Okay.
I may be wrong on that. I'm pretty sure we're close to 47 there.
So should you really call yourselves the half Centurions?
Oh, I like what you did there.
I would think 100 would be a sort of appropriate number for that. But that's a big group to deal with.
It is a big group to deal with.
Yeah.
47 is a group to deal with.
Yeah, it is. So do y'all mainly raise money for causes, or do you mainly do actions or activities?
We do a lot of activities as a group, but our primary focus is on raising money for organizations and for kids.
Okay.
So a lot of the money that we raise goes towards local charitable organizations, like shelters, just community type organizations. But then also a lot of the money that we give goes towards scholarships to students within the confines of Kendall County.
Okay.
So every year, if a kid is interested in potentially receiving a scholarship, they can go online, pull that year's scholarship packet off, print it, fill it out, send it back in, and we'll do our very best to provide what we can to them.
I think you answered this question already, but the money that you raise, all of it is staying, like 100% of it's staying in Kendall County.
Has to. Yes, sir. Great question.
Okay.
Every dollar that we raise stays in Kendall County. We are the Centurions of Kendall County. And so the dollars we receive goes back to Kendall County.
And what are some of the ways, in addition to this gala, what are some of the ways that you raise money?
The gala is really it. We really don't have any other way that we raise money. So we have one event a year. That event provides enough resources for us to give back significantly to the community throughout the year.
Okay. So tell us about the gala. What makes the gala?
So the gala is a themed event. Last year it was a speakeasy theme. This year we voted I think it was last week or the week before, that it's going to be denim and diamonds. And so
All right.
we're going to have a country band. It's a meal. So you come out, you have food, you can dance. We have a silent and live auction. We have games like heads or tails. We have just anything and everything you could possibly think of that would lead to fun, while also having a cause or purpose in place. That it happens there. And it is February 8th, 2025 at the Cannon Ballroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That sounds like a lot of fun.
It is a blast. Yeah. My favorite thing from the gala, and now I'm relatively new with the Centurions. I just joined, I want to say it was last year, 2023. But I'd gone to the gala a couple of years before that, and I had never seen this before. You guys know that I do a lot with the Shrine, and so I've been to plenty of galas, plenty of fundraisers, but they do this thing called Heads or Tails. Have y'all ever seen that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So super unique, because you get everybody out on the floor and you go heads or tails. And so you have your hand on your head and your hand on the other region of your body. And depending on what it is, whatever they call, if your hand is there, you stay. And at the end, the last person wins. And so they win prizes. So I'd never seen that before. It was unique. To me, it was a whole bunch of fun. And then, of course, the band, having the opportunity to go out and dance and have a good time. And for those of you out there that are married or have a significant other, this gives you your opportunity to get out of the doghouse if you forgot about Valentine's Day.
All right.
So it's somewhat last minute, but it's very affordable to go to the event. We've kept the prices the same from last year, moving on to this year. And it just gives you the opportunity to have a good time, to mingle with some friends, maybe even some family. Bring your significant other with you and enjoy a good evening for a great cause.
Yeah. You talked about the cost being the same. What is that cost?
Great question. So if you want to buy a table, the costs are a bit more. Individual tickets are going to be $150. So the price of a table is $1,500. But we also have additional prices on top of that. What we're looking for this year that we've not done in the past is a title sponsor. And so that is something that we're going to be reaching out to our community. So if anybody out there is listening and they'd like to become a title sponsor of the event, that starts at $10,000. And then we have 2 gold level sponsors, which is something we haven't done in the past either. Those are each $5,000. And so that we have a lot of opportunity for the folks that are going to be giving those significant donations to the event to get their name out there and to be very much appreciated and loved on for that amazing effort that they're providing for us.
Yeah, that's reasonable. $1,500 for a table. I mean, that's on par with a lot of other galas.
Sure. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of them. So yeah, it's hard to pick the one that you want to go to, right? Because there's so many of them. What makes us unique is I'm not going to say we're the oldest because I don't know the history of Kendall County and how many galas there are each year. But I would guess at this being our 39th, we're probably one of the oldest galas. And when something's done repetitiously, I guess would be the word, and it's been successful, you would think it's a good time.
It's nice to know, too, that your $1,500 is staying in Kendall County. Of all the galas out there, and I'm not knocking the rest of them, but with this particular one, that's money that's going to go towards projects in Kendall County.
That's right. And so if you go to our website, thecenturions.org, you can see the groups that we donate to. And so we make an effort to make sure that every donation that we give out, every contribution we give to the community is logged so that people know that those dollars they are giving are going back to the community. So take a look at our website. It still has last year's gala data, and I think it's next week. So in September, this will air in November. But the website will be updated. You will have the opportunity to go to the website and take a look at the different levels of sponsorship, to take a look at who we're supporting at that time, and to look at past events as well as the current event.
Okay. And what's the date of that gala again?
It's the Centurions Annual Valentine's Gala.
Denim and Diamonds on
February 8th, 2025. And for our title sponsor, the name will change. It will be our annual Centurions of Kendall County Valentine's Gala, brought to you by
The Boerne Bookshop, for example.
the Boerne Bookshop.
I'm not so sure about that.
It's only $10,000.
Yeah.
We can sell a lot of books between now and then.
Come on in. Do it. Well, the interesting thing about this, we do have a lot of galas and events, and they are a lot of fun. I've been to several different ones. It brings up the topic of social events around charity. And sometimes there's a lot of good causes. There's so many good causes out there. I think, okay, I'll send them a check, and that'll be it. I really can't do all this other stuff around a 10K or whatever. But the social events that surround these do serve a purpose. Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, it goes back to previous conversations on the social aspect. Is you can give, and some people they just want to give, right? Like, here's $100. I don't want to run 3.1 miles, but there are people that want the opportunity to maybe receive something for what they're giving, and not from the standpoint of, hey, I'm not going to give unless I get, but maybe from the standpoint of the social aspect. Like, everybody has some form, not everybody, but the majority of people have a social media platform that they follow or utilize. And on any given Saturday by 10 a.m., there's probably a half a dozen people that are on there. Check out this 5K I ran in support of.
Yeah.
And so that's the social aspect of it. And we, as humans, we're a social group, right? Like, we're the herd pact.
Yeah.
We have to come together in order to feel that sense of belonging. And so when you give, and you give socially, and socially you come together as a group, you're leaning towards your internal herd mentality, if you will.
Right. And it strengthens the cause overall in a social context.
It does, for
the
sure.
Community,
Yeah,
not just financially. Yeah.
If you look at one social media post, you have one person, pretty well known, says, I ran this 10K for the Centurions of Kendall County this morning, which we're not doing a 10K, but but let's say they did, or better yet, we'll just use the event that we're doing. I went to the Centurions Gala last night. It was a blast. We had so much fun. And before you know it, there's 100 people that have liked that one post. That's 100 people that learned about the Centurions of Kendall County.
Right.
Maybe a few of them shared it. And now the shares have gone even further.
Rick, as a recap, the last time you were on the show, you were talking about the shrine, and we talked a little bit about Rotary. You're involved in a number of things. What drives your civic engagement?
What drives my civic engagement? I think the fact that I get to hang out with you, Ron, goes a long way.
I thought so. I got that vibe in Rotary. Yeah, Rick's here because of me.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't know. I suppose, like many folks, probably not all folks, there was a point in my life where I was selfish, especially when I was young. I was very selfish when I was young. Probably did some things that, I don't know, I wouldn't say maybe I wasn't proud of, but it was just very selfish of me. And I can remember being raised in a house where my mom would take me to Sam's Shelter, downtown San Antonio, for Thanksgiving, and we would help homeless people. We would feed them. And I can remember my dad in Laredo taking me to, I forget the name of it, but they had a big Thanksgiving event there, and we would serve meals. And then going in the military, and I mean, that's a form of servitude, if you will. Once I was in there, it just came to me. I can't say there's any reason why I do it. It just came to me. In 2006 or 7, I was the Military Volunteer of the Year for the Coastal Bend.
Yeah.
So I've just always enjoyed a few things. One, seeing a genuine smile on somebody's face because you helped them. 2, the hidden outcome of the effort you provided. Because there's the stuff you see online, there's the stuff on TV, there's the stuff in crowds when everybody's thanked, but then there's that stuff behind the scenes that nobody else, because it's not A to B.
Right.
It's like A to Z, and then there's all those letters in between when it comes to volunteerism. And so I really enjoy that, and it drives me to that. And then Boerne's a small community with growth, right? So there's a lot of people here now, but it's still a very small community. It seems like everywhere you go is somebody that's there. You're walking down the street, somebody. Small communities thrive on people giving back. They really do. And so I feel like if I give back, I'm doing my part to be someone who is representing Boerne for what Boerne is. And at the very minimum, what Boerne used to be, and what I hope we will always continue to be, and maybe if we're getting away from that, move forward to it.
Yeah, I think the Centurions are probably a great example of doing what you just said. Local group. By the way, I meant to ask you, is it a group of men, group of co-eds, or what
great
is it?
question. It is a group of men. You could almost call it a fraternal organization. But just like with any successful group, you can't do it without your ladies.
Right.
And so I would venture to say that our spouses are the ones that allow us to do what we do, and nothing we have done or will do in the future will be successful or has been successful if it wasn't for them. Because there's been a lot of times where I said, ooh, that looks like a great idea. And Amanda said, She saved me from plenty of heartache and failure as well at the same time.
Yep, I'm familiar with that. I should probably take my wife with me when I go buy cars.
That's why you don't.
That's right. Are we ready for a break?
Yeah, I think we're ready for a break. This is Ceasefire with Dale and Ron. We got Rick with us today, brought to you by the Burning Bookshop, and we'll be back in just a moment and talk some more about Centurions and galas and all kinds of stuff. Bernie has its own bookshop. In fact, it's called the Boerne Bookshop. Hi, I'm Dale Adams, inviting you to get lost. Get lost in a good book in our relaxed and casual atmosphere. We have a wide and eclectic selection in the Boerne Bookshop, and we pride ourselves on finding what you are looking for. We do author meet and greets, host writing workshops, and can connect you with a good book club. And your young ones will absolutely love our kids section at the Boerne Bookshop. And while we want you to get lost, we're easy to find, as we're in the heart of Boerne at the back of the Richter Tavern building. We are the Boerne Bookshop. Welcome back to Ceasefire with Dale and Ron. We got Rick Reyes with us today. Rick, thanks for coming, and thank you for all the different things you do. We hear about the memberships, but behind that are a lot of activities and specific charitable actions that you do. What are some of or what would you say is one of your prime activity in a charitable sense that you do here in Kendall County?
Recently, it's probably been Rotary.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of stuff with Rotary. One thing we have coming up, is it okay to plug?
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
So we wanted to try something new this year, and so we did a car show. And the car show was a massive success. We partnered with Mata's Concepts. Hector Mata was a big part of us doing that. And I got to talking with Hector, and Hector said, I wish it was cooler outside. I was like, you and me both, my man. June 1st was hot. And so the biggest feedback we received from that event was maybe we should move it to later in the year. The only problem with that is if we go from June 1st of 2024 to, let's say, October of 2025, that's a long time between events. And so it becomes forgotten. It's hard to justify that. Yeah. And so we came up with the idea of doing a second car show. And so our second, this time it will be second ever, Boerne Sunrise Rotary Foundation car show will take place November 16th. Saturday, November 16th at Mata's Concepts again. And so we're going to be raising money for the Boerne Sunrise Rotary Foundation, which is yet another organization within Boerne, that gives money back to the community.
Okay, very neat, very neat.
Since we're talking about Boerne Sunrise Rotary, why don't you talk a little bit about Rotary International for our listeners who aren't too familiar with the Rotary program?
All right, so Boerne Sunrise Rotary is a local organization tied to Rotary International, which is literally an international organization of individuals looking to better the communities that they live in, oftentimes by way of fundraising. We also support major causes such as polio, right? So we're helping in the fight against polio. We work with organizations such as the Aguas Calientes Eye Bank, whereby they help restore vision for children in need down in Mexico. And that's locally. Our local cause goes towards that fight. And we provide plenty of resources for different organizations on the grander scale of Rotary International, but from the local perspective, we really focus on as many local organizations as we can by way of the members, and the members are usually made up of business owners, professionals, and just people with a heart to give and the time to give it in our community.
Yeah. One of the things that I've always liked about Rotary is that we have the foundation that does all of the international programs that promote peace, promote literacy, promote the end of polio, the polio vaccinations. And in the foundation, 100% of what you give to the foundation goes back out. So if you make a donation to the Rotary International Foundation, they're going to hang on to that money for 3 years. The interest that they earn is how they pay their expenses. And then they take that money and they give it back to the local districts and say, okay, go do some good work in that. And the clubs are autonomous. Each club can decide what they want to do. So at Sunrise Rotary, we have some projects that we want to work on. And the Noon Club, the original club here in Boerne that my wife's a member of, they have their projects. Fair Oaks has a Rotary Club. The Dominion has one, and they're all neat. They all have different ideas. There's a lot of autonomy in there in deciding what you're going to impact locally, but then you have the international projects where you can do something like the iBank in Aguascalientes that on your own, there are not enough people that have Bill Gates money that can go out and have an impact. But as a member of a Rotary Club, you have that impact. And to bring that back to what we were talking about earlier, you're doing the same thing with the Centurions.
Right.
One individual Centurion can't lift the load that 47 can.
Many hands makes for light work.
That's right.
For sure.
That's right.
And then it goes back to what we were talking about. You can have one person that gives $10 million. That's awesome. There's probably a lot of work that went into that. But because of the brand and the fact that people have seen what we do, if you have, we'll say, 1 million people giving $1, it's still $10 million, just a lot less work went into it.
Right.
There's so many people that are willing to give. They don't necessarily want the limelight, and they're willing to support us because there's the brand that's out there.
Right.
And brands come with a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of hard work. So even with the Rotary and also with the Centurions, we've been around long enough to where we've built that brand, and we see that in the support that we receive from the community each time we do one of these events.
Yeah. And another side benefit to these organizations is you build up some camaraderie with other folks.
Mm-hmm. The camaraderie is one of my favorite things. Being on the board of various organizations and being a member of multiple organizations, you have the opportunity to see how boards work, right? Some boards are meant to be more formal. If you go to a Shrine meeting, it's going to be extremely formal. They follow Robert's Rules of Order. When a motion is made, that motion is made per text. Like, it's not going to go off of what Robert's Rules requires. The Centurions is a little bit different. And that's one of the things I love about it, is we're more focused on getting the stuff right that's important in order to raise the funds needed for the community than we are making a motion textbook-wide. It's an amazing organization all around, both from the aspect of camaraderie, because we do get together. Just this last weekend, we have what's called our tap-in for the Centurions. So each year, the person that comes into the organization, we bring them in, and we have a very nice event. We did it over at the Cibolo Nature Center. I believe it's called The Nest.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a dinner. We dressed up. I had to wear a tie. I don't do that often. I had to wear a tie, and
it was a clip-on.
Yeah, you're. This is a Ceasefire or Shots Fired? I don't remember the name of the show. So we had a good dinner. You get a nice certificate that gives you the proclamation of who we are and why you're in this organization. And we just had a good time. Our wives were there. We got to hang out and converse. Just had a really good time. And we do that occasionally throughout the year to remind us that it doesn't always have to be serious, right? Like, some of the best laid plans and ideas come when you're just hanging out and you're chatting.
Right.
Which you guys, I don't think this show would be around if it would not have been for y'all just having a casual conversation on how to create change in the community.
Yeah, I'll actually tell you, I was against the idea originally, but my wife got after me for saying no to Dale. So I'm here because Kathy made me be here.
Yeah, Dale's pretty nice.
Take responsibility for your
I wouldn't
actions.
mess with Kathy.
Yeah, easier to say no to Dale than it is to Kat. That's for sure.
Yeah,
As it should be.
nice. So to touch one more time on the gala itself, as a reminder, if you go to thecenturions.org, it's got the different sponsorship levels. We're asking everybody that's interested to just shoot us an email. There, you can click on send an email on the site, and I personally get that email. So send it over. We're happy to answer any question, comment. If you have feedback, call Ron. If it's negative, if it's positive, call me. But yeah, we go to thecenturons.org and send us a note if you're interested in either coming to the event or sponsoring the event.
Hey, Rick, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that you office here in Boerne. You're a Edward Jones advisor.
I am, yes.
And I know you can't say much because you got legal on you, but just wanted to point that out. You're at the log cabin at the corner of Main and Oak
Park, yeah. So if you have questions on the Centurions or any one of the organizations that we've talked about, the Rotary, feel free to drop by. We're at the corner of Oak Park and Main. It's an old log cabin. We'd be glad to answer any questions that you do have.
Great.
Okay. Thank you for joining us again and for talking about the gala and the Centurions again. It's a neat topic, and you are involved in so many different things. I think the whole county, if they knew about what you did, would be mighty impressed. So it's fun to get the word out about what you do. Okay, this is brought to you by the Boerne Bookshop, and I did bring a book this time that I had forgotten about. And the book's title is called Leaders Eat Last by Simone Sinek. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that. But we've got it here at the Boerne Bookshop, and it's about leadership, and it's a service-oriented leadership where you allow the ones that you're leading to eat first, and you eat last, and you're the one that sacrifices the most, and you support your people, not having them support you. So it's a pretty neat book. Come by and pick it up if you want. And I think that's it. Thanks for joining us at Ceasefire, and see you.
See you in a week.
Oh, and if you've missed anything, you can always go to BoerneRadio.com and look at our podcasts. We have quite a few of them there now.
All right.
Thank you. Boerne has its own bookshop. In fact, it's called the Boerne Bookshop. Hi, I'm Dale Adams, inviting you to get lost. Get lost in a good book in our relaxed and casual atmosphere. We have a wide and eclectic selection in the Boerne Bookshop, and we pride ourselves on finding what you are looking for. We do author meet and greets, host writing workshops, and can connect you with a good book club. And your young ones will absolutely love our kids section at the Boerne Bookshop. And while we want you to get lost, we're easy to find, as we're in the heart of Boerne at the back of the Richter Tavern building. We are the Boerne Bookshop.
Boerne Radio 103.9 FM. Now let's head over to the Patrick Heath Public Library with Miss Constance for Children's Story Time. As the Patrick Heath Library is open today from 10 to 4, this is Boerne Radio.